Passenger traffic at our airport totaled more than 2.8 million people, a sharp 9.4% increase over last January. Domestic travel was up 7.9%, and international travel increased 14.9%. These are impressive numbers. As the airport grows, so do the number of airlines providing service to destinations around the world. Last year, Emirates Airlines began flights to Dubai. British Airways will soon offer flights to Gatwick Airport in London starting in July. And last year, 31 new or additional flights brought a record 29.2 million passengers to Broward County. And this year, we're expected to soar to 32 million. Yes. Also worth mentioning is Concourse A in Terminal 1. It is scheduled to open in early June. The substantial completion of the concourse will add 5 new gates with international capabilities, along with the new Customs and Border Protection facility. Once completed, there will be a centralized TSA security checkpoint with new food and beverage options for travelers. If not traveling by air, more and more people are coming to Broward County via cruise ship. Port Everglades broke its own world record, actually twice in the same cruise season, with more than 55,885 cruise guests traveling to and from the port in a single day. On the cargo side, this is the highest producing month in the port's nearly 90-year history, a 15% increase over December 2015, and it is no wonder that we are the #1 container port in Florida and ranked number 10 in the nation. The overall success of tourism continues to create new jobs in Broward County and contribute to billions in local economy. Have you ever heard of Hello Sunny? You guys are really sleepy this morning. Well, I can't give you this because that will make it worse. I'm trying to get you up here. Okay, so hotel occupancy in February remained at 87%, and I believe that that's due to Heiko. Heiko, where are you? And Andreas, my favorite 2 Greek men. Broward bed tax collections increased 6.2% year over year to nearly $61 million. I don't know who told you that this was a 5-minute speech, but it is not. This year, Broward County delivered 750,000 cubic yards of sand to renourish beaches, and I know that's very important for many of the business owners here. Our capital investments have paid off as we opened the new Broward County Courthouse and Animal Care Center. We also built affordable homes in the incorporated areas. To maintain our social safety net, Broward has continuously increased spending to accommodate the homeless with a number of innovative programs. When I became mayor this year, I carried on the Broward Means Business initiative that I first created in 2014. Along with public recognition of big and small businesses in Broward County, our Office of Economic and Small Business Development has launched a series of programs and seminars throughout the year to reach entrepreneurs. We're offering advice and incentives, and we are collaborating with the Broward Alliance. It seems to be working, and our economic development partners include the Broward Alliance in all 31 cities. Last year, over 2,300 new projected high skills and high wage jobs were added, and over 900 jobs were retained. The Broward Commission is keenly aware that we only achieved success through strong partnerships, and along with that success comes growth. We welcome it, we plan for it, but it also brings challenges. And so with that, the impact of the climate change on our environment may put further strains on public budgets, and we look for ways to adapt and provide suitable infrastructure to mitigate future programs. And now we have also learned that we must plan for the unthinkable, as evidenced by the tragic shooting at our airport. Assessments continue to determine whether everything that went right and where there's need for improvement, and how to exercise whatever control we may have in preventing attacks in the future. In closing, Broward County is aware that we cannot rest on our past achievements. The Board of County Commissioners, along with our very competent County Administrator Bertha Henry, and all of our 6,000 employees, are continuously working to place Broward County in the best possible position to achieve economic growth and stability and enhance and maintain a good quality of life for all of our 1.8 million residents. We know that we're not alone in that effort, and this is the common goal that we share as we meet with you here today. Thank you.
I love the props.
Would you like to keep them?
Sturmer wants that.
I'm leaving hush, baby,
All right.
for the next speaker.
Another round of applause for our great mayor. Thank you, Barbara. Now, as predicted, I may have missed someone. Senator Perry Thurston, where are you? Please stand up. Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. Next, we're going to get a little report card on our county. We've been telling you how great we are now. We're going to show you the numbers. I want to introduce you to Dr. Jerry Parrish, who's the Chief Economist and Director of Research at the Florida Chamber. He's also been the Chief Economist at Florida Tax Watch, Associate Director of the Center for Economic Forecasting and Analysis at FSU, where he is also an adjunct instructor. He's a PhD in economics. Wow. He has published numerous research reports and articles. Jerry is a very smart guy. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jerry Parrish.
Good morning, and thanks for that nice introduction. For the next hour and a half, I'm going to talk to you. Now, they told me I have several minutes, and what a great speech by the mayor to talk about the current state of the economy here in Broward. I'm going to talk more about the future. At the Florida Chamber Foundation, my job is to look 2 to 30 years into the future and decide what Florida needs to do. And what we do at the foundation, we're a 501c3, we do research. And what we do is we identify the solutions for Florida. We hand them downstairs, literally downstairs in our building, to the Florida Chamber, who does advocacy and tries to make sure that the Florida legislators punch the right red or right green button for whatever issue they're looking at. We also have a political arm whose job, and there's several of them, their job is to go out and find people to run for office that will put Florida's long-term future over the short-term future. So I'm going to talk about the research. I'm going to talk about some of the demographics that we're looking at. But first I want to show you the Florida scorecard. Let's see if this thing's going to work here. You know, you should never let an economist. There we go, have a clicker. All right, first we're going to show you Florida at a glance. Most people don't realize if Florida was a separate country, we'd be the 16th largest economy in the world. We're expected to break $1 trillion in GDP and by 2019. And GDP, you can think, as an economist, I would tell you it's not strictly just the value added, but it's most of it's the value that we add to products and services while it's here. You know, Florida adds about $1 out of every 100 in the entire world, and most people really don't think about that. We've created nearly 250,000 jobs in the last 12 months, 112.8 million visitors. The tax yield on that is $6 billion in state revenue, $5.3 billion in local taxes. It's a money-making machine. Broward County, as you've already heard, unemployment rate's 4.5% versus the Florida rate at 5%. This little picture is of a video I do every month, Florida by the Numbers. We talk about the job creation. We talk about other aspects of the Florida economy. They're all listed on the Florida Chamber website. I encourage you to look at them because whatever the topic of the day is, of that month is something that's going on in the world as it affects Florida. All right, let's see here. Here we go. This is the Florida scorecard. Since my boss, Tony Carvajal, was here last year, we've gotten the Florida scorecard back up and running. It has a new look. and it has a lot of different features to it. All these little things I call tiles. I don't know what the IT people call them, but each tile you can click on, it will take you to typically a chart you can download, or the raw data that you can download and make your own chart. But these are the key metrics for what we're looking at for the future of Florida. And I won't go into great details, but I encourage you to look at it on your phone. It's thefloridascorecard.org. It's mobile friendly. You can use it on a tablet. You can use it on a phone. More importantly to you, there are county metrics. And here are the Broward County metrics. And what I track as far as jobs, I have a little different number than the mayor. We use the seasonally adjusted, we call it the non-farm series. So Broward County created 227,880 jobs from February of 2016 to February of 2017. A couple other things I want you to notice here. All the things for Broward County are green, as far as the metrics that change every month or every year. Things like land and conservation and population, we gray those boxes. That's just for informational purposes. But the other ones change on a regular basis. Your high school graduation rate's up, your poverty rate's down, much lower than the state rate on that, and I want to talk a little bit about that. But you can go here, you can punch the little Futurecast button, and you can get a Futurecast of how many jobs you need to create in this county by 2020 and 2030. One of the things, here's one of the charts that I literally downloaded off the Florida Scorecard and put in a slide. This is what they look like. These are cool because if you want to look at just the overall rate or just the Floridians with disability high school graduation rates here, you literally click on the legend and it goes away, whichever one you don't want to show. And once again, you can download the raw data if you want to. I want to talk about industry diversification. I could talk about this for days, but I just want to show you that we're tracking it. Florida right now has the 24th most diverse economy of any state economy. That's a little surprising to people. As far as the metropolitan statistical areas, you can see you fall into the greater Miami MSA here, which is the third most diverse economy that we have in the state. These change once a quarter. They're done by Florida Gulf Coast University. I go around to the universities and try to get them to do more research on the state of Florida. They've taken me up on this, and we post it on the scorecard every time it's updated. I want to talk about one of the big metrics here. If you've read the book, How Money Walks by Travis Brown, they track adjusted gross income and where it moves. Florida is gaining $879,000 of adjusted gross income every single hour of every single day. And people don't realize that. There's more than 1,000 net new people moving to Florida every day. And so when we break it down to Broward County, it's $191 million per year. And you're gaining from Miami-Dade, Queens County, New York, Illinois. Of course, everyone's leaving Chicago looking for a place where, they're not facing those kind of tax increases. And what you can see is people are moving from here. The ones that are leaving and taking money with them are going to Palm Beach or St. Lucie County. Fortunately, they're all staying in Florida, which I appreciate because I look at things like the state tax yield. One of the things, the poverty rate, I'm going to tell you two things I want you to watch. And the reason we did this scorecard is so every single group, like your group, every local chamber, every local economic development agency can start their meetings with our metrics or somebody else's metrics. We want you to track your progress toward your goal, and I know you do this. I know this is a great organization, but all of these metrics are important. If I could choose two for you to concentrate on for the future, and this is going to be very important for many reasons, high school graduation rate and poverty rate. One of the things I track heavily is the poverty rate under 18, and I'm going to show you yours in a minute. One of the things that's so interesting as an economist, there's few things in the world that have dual causality. And that means this one, number one causes number two causes number one, whatever the metric is. When you look at the coincidence between poverty and disability, there's causality both ways. So what I'm saying is if you can address your situation and trust me, it's better than the statewide average. However, you still have more than 81,000 kids in this county under 18 that are growing up in poverty. Now, this is a heat map, so you can see you go further west and the percentages go way up. This is the most important issue of our future. If you can get, these kids have a lower probability of getting through high school and going on to further education. If you can, for every one you get through high school, they'll make on average $250,000 over their career, more than somebody who didn't graduate. And that's an average. There's a big spread there. But you got to remember, Florida runs on sales taxes. 77% of our general revenue comes from sales and use taxes. We need everybody in Florida making as much money as possible and spending it in our great state. Leisure and hospitality has already been mentioned a couple of times here. You guys have more than, let's see, I wrote down the number and you may be able to see it. There you go, 94,000. More than 94,000 people working in hospitality in this county. More than 5,000 businesses are tied to hospitality. The big thing people don't think about is the fact, and we just did a project, we're working on a project called Florida 2030. I'll talk about it in a minute. The first release out of that project was called Florida Jobs 2030. One of the biggest needs out there is for people with soft skills. Employability skills, we call it in the paper. And that's showing up for work, and that's saying please and thank you to customers. And that's, teamwork, communications, problem solving, these kind of things that a lot of people say we're not teaching in the schools right now. If you want to think about where smart companies are getting their employees now, people that are soft skills, they're raiding the hospitality companies, because they know that it's easier to take someone who's already got soft skills and maybe help them get some other skill than it is the other way around. So when you hear people talking about killing Visit Florida and these kind of things, it affects every single industry in this county and in this state. So when, if you don't remember anything else I said, remember that connection, because that's absolutely important to Florida's future. All right, I want to talk about a couple things, statewide trends that we're going to look at. These are the population trends that we're looking at for the next few years. It's 2020, 2025, and 2030. And if you can't see the numbers, the lower on this chart are the higher age groups. And so if you see them growing faster than the other groups, that means Florida's getting older. And I think a lot of us aren't going to be surprised with this. There's 2020. This is a percentage increases. 2030, look at the 75 to 79 age group. It's growing really quickly. And then by 2030, that means Florida's getting older, and we're really looking at that, how that's going to affect our taxation. What we know is we're going to actually lose people between now and 2030. There's going to be less people in that 50 to 59 age group. Typically high spenders buy a lot of taxable goods. They have first-time grandparents a lot of times. They're paying tax on all the toys they're buying for their kids. They're buying RVs, flat-screen TVs. We love it. 77% of our general revenue comes from sales and use tax. When we add these 2 million more age 65 and older people, typically they spend more on services. So how is Florida going to change, and how are we going to have to tax people to keep the government services running? Now here's Broward, and I will send these slides out when I get back to the office. Here's Broward, 90% increase in 75 to 79. In the 70% increase, we're talking a lot of people. How many people is that? Wow, there it is. It is a monster number. This is that many more people in that age group compared to what we have right now. Let me tell you, the state's going to have to change the way it taxes. So will this county. You guys aren't prepared for it, I can promise you, but I will tell you that nobody else is either. One last thing I want to talk about, statewide job creation here. This is the state, this is that same non-farm series, seasonally adjusted. We created 244,400 jobs last year. That is less than 2015. What I'm saying is job creation in Florida peaked in 2015. Now, is that a big issue? Yes, it is. We I don't want to say we lost jobs, we created 53,800 less jobs in that non-farm series and more than 60,000 less private sector jobs than we did the year before. Now, what's my forecast for 2017? It's going to go down again. One thing I want to talk about, and this is where I'm going to end this, is, I saw a bunch of people here. One of the people I saw was Senator Ring, Jeremy Ring's here, and I appreciate him and what he's done for the Florida economy, creating the Florida Institute for Commercialization of Public Research and those kind of things to drive innovation. What I'm saying is, it's getting harder and harder to create jobs in this state. At the same time, all the rhetoric that we're hearing through Tallahassee is killing jobs now. You don't have to kill Visit Florida. You don't have to kill Enterprise Florida. You don't have to kill the Institute and all the great things that we've put in place here to kill jobs in this state. Just talking about killing those things is killing jobs right now. If you don't believe me, talk to your economic developers, talk to anybody who's dealing with a site selector to move people to Florida, and they are saying, no, I'm going to wait and see what happens in the state of Florida before I make my investment. Private sector investment creates jobs in this state. We all know this as business people. When people will just sit there and say, no, I'm not going to consider Florida right now, that is one of the reasons that job creation is going to go down next year. And I released this back in December. Probably if I had to do it again with all the extra rhetoric that I've heard since then, I might even lower the forecast here. All right, last slide. Florida 2030 is more than a 2-year, almost $2 million project the Florida Chamber Foundation is working on right now. And what this is the strategic plan for the state of Florida. We've done these cornerstone reports about every 10 years we do it. It's privately funded by some great funders who really care about the future of this state like you guys do. I encourage you to go to this florida2030.org website.